All right, it's time for my February homeschool update. How's your February going? Were you able to escape the notorious February homeschool slump, or did it get you this year? Let me know in the comments down below. For our family, this February was largely a month of just doing the work. After a couple months of big transitions, adding a baby to our family, having a whole lot of visitors coming in and staying with us, this month felt a little bit more on the normal rhythms of life side. I love the excitement of big changes. I love visitors, but I also love our normal life, our normal rhythms. And I think having a lot of changes in a short period of time and then getting back into those normal rhythms do help remind us how much we can appreciate and enjoy just the humdrum beauty and magic of everyday life. Of course, there was a major holiday this month, a very major holiday for where we live here in Asia, Lunar New Year. So that did give us a long weekend over here, public holiday, lots and lots of fireworks. My boys were out on our balcony watching fireworks till long past their bedtime. Many fireworks. My family actually made and created a pretty epic dragon puppet over the long weekend of Lunar New Year from a kit that we had been given. I'll try to maybe put a picture of it here, but it's at my parents' house right now. That was a lot of work that drew on all the handicraft skills that we have gained over a lifetime of being handicraft homeschoolers. So that was a fun project, fun to bring out all those rusty embroidery skills and construction skills to make this puppet. But let's get into the actual homeschool update. I'm going to start from the oldest and move along down, and I'm going to end this video with a special announcement of something really exciting that I'm working on. So for my oldest, earlier in this month, in case you missed it, I did share my first grade curriculum picks, curriculum choices, and it's a good thing I went ahead and shared them now in February because we started cycling into some of those choices this month. As he finished up curriculums that he had been using, we just rolled right on into the next level. I'm not one that has to wait for the specific beginnings and ends of school years to do that. I'm kind of fine with when we finish one level, let's just move right on at their natural pace. So we finished All About Reading Level 2 earlier in February, and we started using some of the Sunlight readers from the Sunlight second grade reading list. We started with The Fire Cat. And this was really fun because this was the first time that he was getting to read, you know, a 55-page book that was following one specific story. Reading the All About Reading readers, it's a different story. You know, it's many stories in a pretty thick book, but it's always a different story with different characters. I think he really enjoyed being able to follow the Fire Cat story and as we were reading it day after day. And then I mentioned I was going to do a reading notebook alongside our reading books. Since I don't have a curriculum for this, since he still does have words and phonograms he still needs to learn, this is my DIY solution to making sure we can really learn those. So just a super cheap notebook, and we just made a page for The Fire Cat. I titled it, and as we went through the reading, I was noticing either very important words from the story or words that I knew he just wasn't super clear on how to say them, wasn't super comfortable with using those phonograms, and we would write them down as we went. And then before we would pick up the book the next day, we would just quickly look over our words, quickly look over and review. So we had Pickles. Pickles is the name of the cat. So because Pickles was one of our words, I went over here and I wrote down a whole bunch of other words that were not in the book, but did have this same LE ending. Tickle, little, giggle, wiggle, jiggle. To have him see that this pattern is something that comes up frequently. I didn't do that for all the words because not all the words did have a very frequent patterns being seen. I did do it for blue because we could do new, hue, few, but then we also had just some specific words that were kind of tripping him up. I wrote them down to give him extra practice. I put answer. I mean, answer is spelled fairly oddly. I put chief because the fire chief was one of the key characters. We were bumping into that, so we learned that little IE combination. I put thought in here against some of these words, and once he realized what we were doing with this book, he actually started, as we're coming up to a word and he stumbles over it a little bit, he's like, oh, add this word to the book, Mama. So he was getting the idea of what this was for, and he was showing a lot more fluency later on in the book when he would come up against this word again. He didn't know that PH can make the F sound. He hasn't bumped into that before. So when we had the word telephone, I just taught him that concept. So that's the approach we're using with reading right now. Also on the reading topic, but in Spanish. We're continuing to work with Spanish reading. He has not progressed as quickly in Spanish reading. I do think it's harder for him because he's not as fluent in Spanish as he is in English. And language fluency does help a lot with reading. You know, everyone will say reading in Spanish is so easy, and it is. But when you're a little kid and it's not a language that you're as comfortable in, your brain kind of can't anticipate what the next word is as clearly. And he does know a lot of Spanish, but it's taken a little bit longer for him to kind of make the connections. Oh, okay, yeah, I see what's going on here. We've seen good progress this year, but for my own sake, as the teacher, and also for him, I've kind of varied some of the different resources we're using. Lately, I've been going through the Llamitas readers from Llamitas Level 1, and I think this is the last one we have to do. We've done all of the rest of them this month. La Vida en la Tierra, which are very, very short readers, and just they've got nice big letters. We'll break apart the syllables, we'll read the words one by one, and get the hang of those. The first 6 readers, Llamitas makes their first 6 readers available as a freebie on their website. So I'm gonna link to their website down below. They have all of them as part of the Level 1 course. And then the Level 2 course also does come with some readers as well, which we'll go into in a little bit. But I've really just been leaning into getting him reading. I also found another really cool free reading resource in Spanish this month, which I wanted to share with you, and it's a YouTube channel. So I'll link to it down below, Aprende a Leer. And we've only used the first maybe 4 or 5 videos so far, but they have a 40 video playlist, which I think of very, very well done videos that are going through the different syllable types, going through the different syllables, giving the child time to read them as they go through the video, putting them together in words, giving the child time to respond and read the word, and then they'll put pictures on the screen to show what the word is. So if the word is pala, the child is reading pala, and then they say, okay, what is a pala? And it's all in Spanish, but then they put a picture of a little shovel on the screen, and they talk about that. So I've been very impressed with that. I wanted to point you guys to it in case you are also looking for free Spanish reading resources. Head to Aprende a Leer. Those have been really cool videos to add in to our days. I'm just trying to, right now, just like do a video each day of school. A very recent find, but I think we'll hopefully be able to go through all those videos in just a handful of weeks and keep building that fluency and speed. When it comes to math, we are very, very close to being done with first grade math with confidence, continuing to enjoy it. I think we're on week 31 as of the posting of this video, and there's 32 weeks. So we will be very shortly rolling into the next level of that program. But in the meantime, I went ahead and added in Beast Academy in early February. So we've been doing that for a few weeks, and my son has been very excited about it. He's still like not quite solid on the name of it. He'll be like, can we do the monster school math? Like, yes, we can do the monster school math. And we've just been doing that a little bit every day. It's not divided into daily lessons, which I do tend to prefer curriculum that's divided into daily lessons, but you know, we're figuring it out. We're just about done with the first chapter of the book, all the practice questions and the readings. He loves the readings, and then the pages have definitely been more challenging, something that can slow him down a little bit. Some of the pages he is able to do independently once I explain it, but with other ones that are a little more on the challenging side, I've sat with him and kind of like worked through problem-solving ideas of, okay, what do you think we can try to solve this problem? It's early days yet, but I think it has been a nice addition for this child who really loves math. Our geography studies continue. We've been going through European countries, so I think near the beginning of February, we finished up Italy. Then we did Sweden for a couple weeks. This was my favorite book from the Sweden unit, Super Grandpa, and it's about a 66-year-old man who is told that he's too old to join the bike race, the tour of Sweden. And so he just paints a number on his shirt and rides his own race kind of alongside the tour of Sweden, following their whole race. And he does a 1,000 plus mile bike race at 66. He continues to do bike races into his 80s. Pretty interesting story. It's all based on a true story. Really, really fun and engaging book that kind of sent us off on rabbit trails to find pictures of the real person that this story is based on afterwards. And also for Sweden, we did a field trip to IKEA, because when you're a homeschooler, you can go to IKEA to eat Swedish meatballs and call it an educational experience. But that was a lot of fun. IKEA here sells these like alphabet cookies, which actually taste really good. I like to eat them. But even those alphabet cookies were a great learning experience, because on the letters, on the vowels, some of them have the little circle marks over them. So I was able to talk with the kids, the boys, about how different languages, their letters look different. And sometimes you add different marks, sometimes you have completely different letters altogether, and it's to represent different sounds. Every language has different sounds and different ways of writing down their sounds. So that was cool for them to notice, hey, this letter A has 2 circles over it, and this letter has 1 circle over it in the cookies, and then eat them. Here at the end of the month, we have just started studying Denmark, Sweden's neighbor, and we have gone a little bit into the story of Lego, the company Lego, which is of course very, very interesting to my boys who love to play with Legos. We also watched a video of the Legoland in Denmark, where Lego was founded, so now they want to go to Denmark, of course. We've talked a little bit about Hans Christian Andersen and some of the stories that he wrote, and I've pretty much come to the conclusion that I am not really a Hans Christian Andersen fan. You know, we don't have to be a fan of all the classic works, and a lot of those stories are just very odd. I mean, I know fairy tales are odd. Yes, I mean, fairy tales are odd. I'm not anti-fairy tales, but for some reason, a lot of the Hans Christian Andersen fairy tales are especially odd, and they're not really my favorite. My boys do like The Ugly Duckling quite a bit, but we've read several others, and I'm just like, yeah, this is not what I would call one of my favorites among classic tales. Now, for my preschooler, we have been doing Gentle and Classical Primer. This is my second time using Gentle and Classical Primer. I used it with my oldest. Now I'm cycling back through it with my little guy. One thing we've really been enjoying implementing, which for my oldest, I didn't bother printing the music cards until fairly late in the primer program, so I didn't use them all that much. But I realized toward the end of the first time using it, hey, I bet we would learn our instruments better if I actually printed these. And yeah, these are a cool little resource because one of the things you're learning in primer is all the basic orchestra instruments. You're kind of learning to identify them, their names, how instruments are divided into groups. It's just kind of a neat concept to go into with kids. And so one activity we've been doing, we've just learned a few instruments, is I've been putting out cards, and then I'll use my phone to play a solo track of one of those instruments playing, and have my son, you know, pick up the card that's playing. That's a violin, or that's a piano. So that's just been a fun little activity with my preschooler. I did want to share this resource. I usually feel like these kind of workbooks are not the kind I usually talk about because they don't really feel like real curriculum. It's just kind of a random workbook that gets added to our day. This one is very nearly done. It used to be very thick, but we have ripped out pages as we've gone. But this has been an awesome one, and I will link to it. It's available on Amazon. My big book of cutting, pasting, and drawing. All the fun stuff for preschoolers. So all the cutting and pasting pages have been done already. And then we've been working on the drawing pages. But these I have found just really valuable and fun. They have little step-by-step how you draw a cat, and you can trace it on the one side, and then on the back you can draw your own cat and you can color it. You can color the version in front, but kind of helping get the idea of drawing. I think this is especially good for kids who maybe aren't just as naturally the type of kid that just picks up and starts drawing everything. I've seen my son show a lot more interest in drawing since using this, and I've also seen him just randomly, like while we're doing schoolwork, he's like, I'm gonna draw a cup. And then on the side of his paper, he draws a little mug, and I know he's following the pattern of what they showed how to do in here, because he'll say, oh, I'm gonna start with an oval. And he starts with making a little oval, and he draws a little mug and then draws a handle on it. So I'm like, yeah, this is connecting with him very well. It's been a fun resource, pretty inexpensive for quite a few pages initially. I don't know, yeah, 248 pages of just fun. It's not one of those necessary things, but it does build, you know, cutting skills, drawing skills, nice for easy fine motor work at the table, no prep, so great for little kids. Then I have been really enjoying flashcards, just flashcards in general, with him, and it's a reminder of how much we really use and benefit from flashcards at this stage. They're so nice that they are portable, easy, movable, just bite-sized little pieces of information that you're working on mastering. I have videos on this channel about my favorite flashcard games. We do different kinesthetic games with them. In my Alphabet Adventures curriculum that I wrote, I recommend just using flashcards regularly, alphabet flashcards. And this is my preference, to use flashcards that just have the letter and have them separate. Yeah, mine are all upside down and every which way right now because we use them every day, very, very regularly. So we've been using alphabet flashcards for games. I've been doing number flashcards. I've been using these little flashcards from Yamitas, more so for vocabulary, like, hey, let's learn the names of all these different animals, and I'll spread them out and I'll say, give me the loro, or dame la koala, you know, the different animal names, so he can practice with these. But it's kind of a side benefit that he can also see the letter sounds on them. And of course we have our primer memory cards as well, so cards has been a big part of his education right now. And then we have the newest addition to our homeschool, baby. He is so sweet. I've been joking, like, I don't know if he's just an unusually sweet baby or if I've just been living in the intense, spicy toddler and young child mode for so long that I forgot how sweet babies are. It might be a combination of both. He just has a sweet temperament. He loves for you to hold him, and he'll just talk to you and smile at you, and you'll take him outside on a walk and he'll talk to strangers and smile at strangers. He's a really sweet little guy. He's often in my arms. I'm mastering homeschooling one-handed, one hand with the baby, and he's looking out at what we're doing just calmly, calm little guy. It's been great getting to know him, so much fun. And speaking of baby, you know, he still gets up at night to eat, but he just eats and goes back to sleep. Totally developmentally normal. But when he gets up for his last feeding, it's usually around 4:30 or so in the morning, I've been now feeling good enough that once I feed him for the last time, put him back down to sleep, I just get up for the day at that time, and I have been using that time to work on a new special project here at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning in the wee hours while all of my boys are sleeping. And this is actually a project inspired by one of you leaving a comment of, hey, we've loved Purely Preschool, we've loved Alphabet Adventures. Are you planning to do a next level? Are you planning to do a kinder level? So this wasn't the first time that I'd been asked that question, but it was probably the first time I've been asked if I'm going to make a kindergarten level, if I'm going to make a kinder level, 5-year-old level, since I felt like my brain was actually working enough to actually comprehend taking on such a big task. And this time when I was asked, I was mulling over it and it really clicked, and I had an idea and I had something I felt I could roll with and was starting to get really, really excited about, and excited about thinking about using it with my younger son even in the future for his kinder year. Because many curriculums, you'll notice you'll notice people using them with kids who are actually older than like 5-year-old, kinder level, kinder age kids. You'll see Sunlight K being used with 6 to 8-year-old kids, and that's totally fine. That's probably what age it's going to work best with. But I was envisioning, what about a kinder curriculum you could actually really use with a 5-year-old? Because we have our little kid preschool, but what about when they're getting a little bit older beyond the little kid preschool level, but they're also not an elementary kid yet? And thinking and dreaming of what that would look like, thinking about what books I would want to include. So it is in production now, and I've been working on it faithfully and daily in the wee hours of the morning. I'm bringing my mom in to write parts of the curriculum. I'm bringing my sister in to create illustrations. It is not going to be ready for a while yet, especially because of some of those custom illustrations. My sister is very busy. She's in her last semester of senior year. She's doing student teaching. She's got a lot on her plate right now, and then she has me messaging her with, okay, I had the most brilliant idea for this new activity page, and I need all of these custom drawings to use for this activity. But it is going to be consisting of a parent guide with a weekly reading schedule, together with teaching notes for every book. Teaching notes of, what's cool about this book? What should you know about this book, and the illustrations and the author? Here's some discussion questions, not in an overwhelming sense, but in a targeted and really realistic for a real, normal 5-year-old to engage with. Not levels way up here, not way down here in 3-year-old land, which is a wonderful land, but we've moved beyond it a little bit at 5 years old. What that would look like. And it's going to have some themes like Purely Preschool. It's going to have a lot. If you've used Purely Preschool, if you've used Alphabet Adventures, or really any of my curriculums, it's really going to have a lot of the signature things that you notice from my approach, which is very practical, a little bit on the minimal side. Like, I do want activities. I want coordinated activities, or coordinated activities to go with a book or a theme. But I don't want 53 printable pages on monkeys, with repeating the same clip art again and again, and counting monkeys and adding monkeys and spelling the word monkey, which is not a kindergarten appropriate skill. It is gonna have activity pages. It's going to be more of just, hey, I just want a few coordinated activities to go with a book. I don't need to go overboard. I want a realistic amount to make this magical, to make it memorable, but also doable in the real world, to just have some time with my 5-year-old to read, to do some memorable learning together, memorable discussions that have real impact on everyday life. Once I get finalized on the first couple weeks, and once I get the art I needed on the first couple weeks, I am going to create a sample so that you guys can see what I'm talking about. And when it's finished, I'm going to be making a video, flip through, and talking all excitedly about my vision for this, for sure. But we've got a ways to go. We've got quite a few 4:30 a.m. wake up feedings and then work mornings, but it is something I'm really excited about. So I just wanted to share a little sneak peek with you right now of my newest project. All right, make sure you're subscribed to hear more homeschool updates in the future, more nerdy homeschool videos, because I have quite a few of those coming to you in March, and I will be seeing you next time. Bye.